Welcome to the Morning Report, a production of fightbackmedia.com, the number one source of urban conservative information in America.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, and fightbackmediatv.com. Trust that you are doing well. I'll just get started. In a widely expected move, the Federal Reserve has opted to keep the interest rates unchanged in its first policy decision of the new year. After a series of rate cuts in late 2024, and rate cuts are designed to get the economy going, they've decided to pause this stuff as they assess the state of the economy, inflation, and the labor market. So what does this mean for businesses, consumers, and broader economic outlook? Well, let's break it down. At the conclusion of their two-day meeting, the Federal Reserve released a statement confirming that interest rates will remain steady within the current target range of 4.25 and 4.5%. The statement noted that economic activity continues to expand at a solid pace, with unemployment remaining low and labor market conditions still strong. However, the inflation remained elevated, prompting the Fed to take a more cautious approach. This decision follows a series of aggressive rate cuts in 2024, which saw the Fed lower its benchmark rate by 0.75 percentage point in September, followed by smaller cuts in November and December. These moves brought rates down from a range of 5.25 to 5.50% to their current levels. But now the Fed is stepping back to evaluate the efforts of those cuts before making any other adjustments. Now, while inflation has been on a downward trajectory last year, now when we say that, they only look at a small slither of time. You and I look at 2020 to now. You get it? 2020 to now. They look at smaller chunks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, that kind of thing, where the rate of increase seems to have slowed. I mean, I just have to get all this said. The rate of increase seems to have slowed, but the prices that we pay are so much greater, first of all, than our income, and then what they were just 2 years ago, right? Anyway, the Fed's latest statement notably admitted previous language about continued improvement in inflation, and this is why, signaling a more cautious stance. One key concern for the Fed officials is how inflation expectations may be affected by the broader economic policies. Many economists argue that if consumers and businesses start expecting higher inflation, it could become a self-fulfilling prophecy, pushing prices even higher. This is particularly relevant as the central bank assesses how Donald Trump's economic policies, especially the tariffs, could influence inflation. While most Fed officials do not see tariffs as a direct long-term driver of inflation, some have expressed concerns that price increases tied to trade policies could shift inflation expectations upward, making it harder for the Fed to maintain stable prices. So what's next? At the Fed's December meeting, projections suggested that officials anticipated 2 more rate cuts in 2025. However, the markets are now adjusting their expectations. Futures tied to the Fed policy indicate that investors are currently betting on just one additional rate cut this year, reflecting uncertainty over how the economy will evolve. The labor market has also played a role in this shift. Last summer, job growth appeared to be slowing, but recent months have shown greater resilience in hiring and wages. With unemployment remaining low and consumer spending still robust, the Fed sees less urgency to continue cutting rates at the same pace. Now, here's going to be some of the impact on consumers and businesses. For consumers, the Fed's decision means borrowing costs will remain steady. Well, at least for now. Mortgage rates, credit card interest, auto loan rates are all influenced by Fed policy, and this pause suggests that we won't see dramatic changes in those areas in the immediate future. However, if inflation begins to rise again, the Fed could hold off on additional rate cuts, which could keep borrowing costs higher than many had hoped for. For businesses, the decision reflects a balancing act between controlling inflation and supporting economic growth. Lower interest rates generally make borrowing cheaper for companies looking to expand, but the Fed wants to avoid cutting too aggressively and reigniting inflationary pressures. So what's next? All eyes will be on the upcoming economic data, especially inflation reports and job market indicators, as the Fed continues to navigate its rate policy in 2025. While more cuts could be on the horizon, today's decision signals a wait-and-see approach. We'll see. We'll see. I think they just really wanted to see how some of this stuff that the Trump administration and people like Doge, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, how these things play out, and especially as we move towards the next crisis with the debt ceiling. And see how all that plays out, which is probably, if a Fed has to exist, it probably should exist so little that it barely exists. So maybe it's waiting to see what happens is a really good idea. Maybe. All right. Now, something else. President Donald Trump has announced a major step in his administration's effort to tackle illegal immigration, ordering the reopening. Now, when I say this, we're all going to go, well, why didn't I think about that? Why didn't I think of that? The reopening of the 30,000-person migrant facility in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. The move comes after the administration ramps up deportations and seeks to address what it calls an ongoing crisis at our southern border. So what does this decision mean? And how is it being received? Well, let's talk about it. President Trump made the announcement during a White House signing ceremony for the Laken Riley Act, a bill aimed at cracking down on migrant crime. As part of his broader immigration enforcement strategy, Trump signed an executive order directing the Department of Defense and Homeland Security to prepare the Guantanamo Bay facility for detaining migrants. In his remarks, the president emphasized that the facility would house some of the worst criminal illegal aliens, particularly those whose home countries may refuse to take them back, or who pose a severe risk to the public safety. He described the decision as a necessary step to protect Americans, noting that the deportation efforts were already underway, but needed additional resources. Yeah, I'm thinking, why didn't we think of Guantanamo Bay? It seems like part of the problem is housing, detention housing. When you gather these people up, what the hell do you do with them? Well, apparently some of these detention facilities were closed by the previous administration. So the decision to open Guantanamo Bay for migrant detention is highly significant. While Guantanamo is best known as a military prison for terrorism suspects, we remember that, it has historically been used to house migrants. Bang. In the 90s, thousands of Haitian and Cuban refugees were temporarily held there before being processed for asylum or deportation. This move will double the U.S. government's capacity to detain illegal immigrants or illegal aliens while awaiting deportation. Trump underscored that Guantanamo Bay is a tough place to get out of, making it making an effective holding center for those considered high risk. Why don't we think of that? President Trump's administration has already tripled the daily deportation rate, removing over 1,000 illegal aliens per day, compared to just 300 a day under President Joe Biden. However, the illegal immigration population of the United States is estimated at over 13 million, including 2 million individuals who have been ordered or deported by judges or have committed crimes. With border security a key issue for the Trump administration, officials are urging Congress to approve full funding for deportations and border enforcement. Trump described the current situation as an unforced error, one that could have been avoided with stricter policies from the start. The decision to use Guantanamo Bay is already, of course, sparking debate. Supporters argue that it's a strong and necessary action to deter illegal immigration and remove dangerous criminals from the U.S. Critics, however, see it as a controversial move, raising concerns over human rights, legal challenges, and international diplomatic repercussions. Trump's tone in announcing the policy was measured and deliberate, likely aiming to counter the Democratic criticisms that he is anti-immigrant rather than anti-illegal immigration. This is where they play their game. Trump doesn't like brown people. They reduce it, they simplify it, they dumb it down for the dumber person. Trump doesn't like brown people. No, it doesn't have anything to do with brown people. He doesn't like illegal immigration. You saw the clip from the press secretary today or yesterday now, where she talks about somebody asked her how many of these immigrants have committed crimes, and she said all of them, because coming into this country illegally is indeed a crime. It's committing a crime. It's a crime. They didn't, get travel visas and come in as tourists. They snuck across the southern border without papers, without visas, without anything. And they broke federal law. So technically and realistically, all these people, I'm using that word, all those people, all you people are criminals. The administration insists that this is about enforcing law and ensuring national security, because it is. With deportations increasing and the 30,000 person facility being prepared, the Trump administration is making clear that immigration enforcement remains a top priority. But with the political and legal battles ahead, this move is certain to face scrutiny in the coming months. And I don't think he cares. Now, what we have to keep remembering is that Donald Trump is a lame duck president, which means he cannot run again. So he's just going for it, just swinging towards the fences. And we need someone who will swing towards the fences for us. That's all for now. All right. We got to get out of here and wait for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody. And for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.